You ready?
Yep.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lance McHan, and today's guest is Rebecca Nowak. She's a local Stocktonian and cancer survivor. A few months back, the community pulled together to raise money to help her get the treatment she needed. So today she's on telling her story. So
Hi. Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor to be here and to be sharing my story. And I hope by sharing today, my story can give hope and courage to people who have personally been affected by cancer.
Yeah, it's been I remember when a few months back, it was pretty crazy. Jamie Rodriguez had reached out to me. I had an opening for my show, and she was like, "Hey, you got to come on. I want to come on." I'm like, "Okay." So I went by there, and she's like, "You don't understand. We need to do this. We're doing a fundraiser. All this stuff." And I'm like, okay. So that was really an emotional show because everybody's been touched by cancer in some form or fashion, family member, loved one.
Yeah,
so it's very,
friend, So when you did that with Jamie, I was watching from my home. I moved to Idaho, actually, and I'll share the story of when I moved to Idaho. But I remember watching your show and just crying because it's like I couldn't believe that I had moved away to another state and the amount of support that I had here in Stockton. I was crying on the way here just to think about how I could even put into words thanking my community of Stockton and Lodi.
You guys pulled it together, that's for sure.
People I didn't even know. Jamie, for instance, I had never met her in person. I plan on meeting her.
Well, we'll go over there. Let's go over there after we crash her party.
Yeah.
What's up, Jamie?
We'll have a dance party with you.
So, take us back to the beginning, really.
Okay.
I'm sure we all have tissue ready because it's going to be emotional.
I know. I said, I'm going to get myself some tissue because I've already started crying. He goes, grab some for us. So.
Yeah, grab some for us. Jamie said come by.
Okay, we will. So my story is complicated and it's long. So I'm going to try to just sum it up so that, you can get the message today without being overwhelmed. I probably could write a book on the things that I've witnessed in this last year. So actually, Monday will be 1 year ago that I was diagnosed. Yeah. So April 9th.
Wow.
I was actually, so this is what happened. I had just had my third son, and I noticed a lump that was growing and of concern. I've always been a person that was very natural-minded. I've always studied the human body. That was my passion. It still is my passion, learning about how the human body works.
Yeah, I see you juicing all the time. Like that looks good.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah.
So I know. My first step to finding how I was, what was going on in my body was to do a thermogram, and that is really different because it's not covered by insurance or anything like that. And they take a thermal image of your body, and basically, if there is an infection or a tumor growing, it will light up red.
Oh,
well,
wow.
I got,
did not know that.
Yeah. So with mammogram, you do have exposure to radiation, and if you have an encapsulated tumor, the pressing down of it can actually burst in your body. So those are just possible risks. I'm not trying to discourage anyone from getting mammograms. I'm just saying, for me, my first approach was to do the thermogram. Unfortunately, that didn't turn out to give me anything other than them telling me to come back in 6 months, that if there was something of concern, to come back in 2 months. So
I'm here for answers.
Yeah, so I kind of let my guard down because who wants to believe that what's going on in their body is something serious? You want to believe the best. So I went, after that, I kind of resumed life, and it was progressively getting worse. So I ended up going to an OBGYN.
So were you feeling sick, or you just noticed that the lump was getting big?
Yeah, literally my breast was changing. They could also call it an orange peel because the actual skin was changing and getting hits I don't even know how, because it was quite it was getting inflamed. And I had never walked this walk, so I had no idea. I was just kind of reading online, what that potentially is. But I went to my OBGYN and her and a lactation consultant, because I was breastfeeding at the time, both told me that it was probably something feeding related, and that to go home, hot pack, massage, and make sure the baby drains that side first. So I had 2 more professionals telling me,
wow, that's
yeah,
crazy to think of the implications that could have on your child. I don't know if the cancer cells would be passed through the milk, but who knows?
yeah, I'm praying no, that's not the case. But I think I've actually heard of that happening to other people who are breastfeeding, and I think it's really important for the medical professionals to know that to not
Because,
I guess let that go to
well,
like, take it more
because sometimes
serious.
there is a plugged milk duct and
Right.
it swells up, and it's the procedures to do that. So, yeah, it's kind of scary.
Yeah,
to think
totally.
that they could have been totally misdiagnosed this whole time.
Yeah, it took me 4 months actually to get my diagnosis.
Oh wow.
So when we listed our house, because we had talked about moving to Idaho for quite some time, actually for over a year, and I'd been praying, God, if this is the door that we're supposed to go through, open the door, and if it's not, close the door. The day that we closed on our house and got the money in our bank here in Stockton was the day that I got the call from my doctor.
Give me goosebumps. Jeez.
So it was just a confirmation that we were supposed to proceed forward to Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And so, fast forward, I don't know exactly remember when it was, but when did the fundraising and when did all that kind of take place?
Yeah.
Because you went natural.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you were doing tons of research.
Right. So for my previous research to what I was, researching when I found out my diagnosis, I had decided to heal myself completely natural. And I knew I had a lot of people really concerned with that. And my standpoint now has changed. It's been a humbling experience because it changed. My healing changed, the way that I went.
I don't think a lot of people know that, so we'll get that.
Yeah. I'm so empathetic because there is no right way to heal cancer. There is no box you can put it in and say this is going to heal you. Cancer is very complicated. It's very smart. The body, is not always going to respond to treatments.
Because I remember when you were in Mexico, watching you live, and it was pretty emotional. Just watching you tell your story, like mistletoe extract.
Yeah, good memory.
As a chemotherapy treatment. And a lot of natural. I can't remember some of the other stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you. So,
okay. I'm listening.
So I when I first got to Idaho, I decided to find a naturopath, which is a doctor who practices natural medicine, and they do have someone in oncology, so they work specifically with people who are battling cancer. So I found them, and then in May, I got there in late April, and by May I was actually in Tijuana, Mexico, at a place called the Hoxie Biomedical Clinic. And I found out about this place it's called The Truth About Cancer, and
it's a pretty famous place.
Yeah, it's been around for a very long time. It actually started in the United States and then got kicked out of the United States from pharmaceutical
FDA regulations.
Yeah. So I went there and I started their protocol, and my body didn't respond to that protocol. My tumor markers were increasing, and my breast was still changing, getting worse. And so I stopped that protocol and just did some things at home. Meanwhile, I was running. It was 100 degrees. I was running every single day, and I'm not a runner. I was running.
You were literally running?
Yeah.
On a treadmill?
I have a track behind my house.
Okay.
So I was running a mile every single day, and I was sweat. I was doing everything. I was vegan for 5 months. Didn't touch sugar.
So somebody said you need to go exercise, and you're like,
you do.
Whoa.
I just knew that was part of healing, getting the body to move, the lymphatic system to move.
Okay.
And so
I'm just trying to let other people know, what the hell is she doing? I'd be like,
yeah.
Most people, because you see them, they can barely get out of bed.
Yeah, no, I was feeling great. I really, other than the changes in my breast, I did not feel sick ever.
Okay, I got you. That makes sense.
But then I kind of progressively started feeling pain in my liver and in my spine. And one day, this is kind of, and so I went to a doctor, and he saw my numbers, and he's like, if you don't get to it, because I was adamant still on healing naturally, and he goes, if you don't get to a clinic in the next 2 weeks, he's like, I'm very scared for you. He's like, it's urgent that you get, help.
Switch your protocol to more
Something a little more aggressive.
What is it, standard medicine?
Yeah. Well, he wanted me to do that. He wanted me to get on an oncology team, but I kind of had my mindset that I wasn't ready for that yet. So I went. So anyway, this is where the fundraising started. So I crawled in bed one night and I was crying to my husband, and I was just like, "Babe, I'm in pain. There's something wrong with me." And so I got a scan done on my liver. I got an ultrasound done on my liver, which I had 20.
I remember all that too, because you would post it. You'd share with everybody. I was just like, oh.
Yeah. 20. I had 20 plus lesions in my liver. My whole liver was filled with tumors. The biggest one was 1.3 centimeters. And in my spine, I got an MRI done, and I had lesions in my spine.
And what is a lesion for people?
It's cancer. Cancer
like
in my spine.
Like a little tumor?
In my spine. And so within this is the miracle that happened. Our community and people I knew, people I did not know, pulled together with gift certificates, physical products, money donations, fundraisers, you name it, to come together and raise within 10 days over $30,000.
Wow.
And it was a miracle. Actually, it ended up being more than that.
It clicked in and it started trickling.
Yeah. I did like all the therapies that I could possibly do. So actually the total bill was $60,000 there for 3 weeks. So I went to Hope for Cancer, which again was on the Truth About Cancer. It's a docuseries by Ty Bollinger. And I actually had a friend that was there. And so that was kind of my deciding factor of maybe a more thorough, more progressive healing. So I went there. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where you were in. That's where I was watching you do the live in the video.
Yeah.
Because I remember you saying you have a friend there, and I remember all this. It's all coming back. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the community really pulled together. What's her name? Nicole.
With the sweet tweet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Sweets. Makes awesome
Three little birds.
She makes awesome cupcakes and cookies, and she's the sweetest ever. And I've met her a couple times. So and Jamie know each other.
And then Jamie was like, I went there and got some cookies, and I don't know what else other people were doing. Bud Seafood.
Yeah, so I actually worked at Bud Seafood for 8 years. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, somebody.
I was like all pregnant like twice when I worked there. I would like knock people with my belly and everything like that. So it was great.
Yeah, but, Bud's a good guy.
Yeah, so they would donate food for the paint night at Jamie's and also certificates. I had my friend, actually who I'm staying with this weekend, she dedicated her 50th birthday to me, and she did a fundraiser. Most selfless, I call her St. Monica. She is like most selfless person, but I've had such incredible
nothing but
blessings.
Cakes.
Yes, nothing but cakes.
Mike Robinson, he came through. I'm just trying to think of everybody I know. I mean, there's probably tons of people you probably can't even.
I actually was going to write a list down. It just didn't happen. I'm sorry. I got thrown up on all night, so.
The little ones.
Yeah.
So, fast forward a little bit. So, you leave the hospital in Tijuana.
Yeah, and actually my husband came for like the last 8 days. Oh, yeah. So he came there to be with me and then also to come and take me home. By the time he got there, I was really sick. I was kind of throwing up, like standing in the shower was too much for me almost, and I definitely couldn't like go downstairs because it was like multi levels. This clinic was, and in Tijuana, and honestly, felt so safe there. Just want to let you know, felt super safe. Would be dark at night. Would go over to the beach area. It was right across from the ocean. Yeah, felt super safe there.
Wow.
Like literally right over the border. And you get transported in by the people there. And it's definitely a good option, I think, for people who want to, just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it doesn't work for everybody. Yeah. And
they've saved tons of lives.
And there's people who are literally giving up on it here in the United States, and so it's a good alternative for them, like, as a last resource to maybe try something holistically.
Because I know a friend of mine, he heard about it years ago. He's like, oh yeah, they've saved tons of people's lives where standard medicine could not. So it's definitely an option.
Right, and what I really appreciate about Hope for Cancer is that they're not just dealing with your cancer. They actually have 7 key factors. So they're dealing with detoxification, emotional and spiritual healing, diet, lifestyle. Like they address your whole
core body,
whole person, your spirit, your soul, your body, everything.
Yeah, remember, I would follow you and just listen to what you're saying and check in on you, even though like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. Yeah, so I did a lot of therapies there. I did like hyperbaric chamber. I did the mistletoe therapy, which is like your natural chemo. I did a natural immunotherapy where it basically triggers your T cells to go into action and fight cancer. I did oxygenation.
Hyperbaric chamber.
Yeah.
Super oxygenate.
Hyperthermia, where they actually I would be referred to it as the pizza oven. And it's literally, it gets up to 140 degrees, and you sit in there for 45 minutes if you can. I usually would turn it off.
Yeah, I don't
But
blame
you get your internal temperature to create a fever, and what it does is it goes in and kills cancer cells, it kills viruses, it kills bacteria, and it triggers your immune system to start working again. So that's something I did.
That's crazy you say it, because I remember watching like National Geographic. This guy, he had cancer. And he got bit by a snake. Mm-hmm. And he survived the snake attack, but afterwards the side effect was that it cured his cancer.
Yeah, I've heard.
Because
I've
it triggered his immune system to start fighting, but it was fighting everything. So in somewhere in that onslaught of immune response, it killed the cancer.
So you're telling me that look, there's a guy on YouTube I always like to watch. I need to go put my hand in a snake pit.
Yeah, that guy. That guy.
Okay.
So, when did you decide to like? Okay, I need to go standard therapy. You were saying the doctor.
Yeah. So I was in Mexico and I was getting really weak. Like I started getting ascites too. And ascites, for a lot of people don't know what that is, but it's when the liver stops functioning as it should, and it's not filtering, and so you have it's weeping fluid, and it's collecting in your abdominal cavity.
Oh, wow.
So I actually looked like I was 9 months pregnant. It hurt everything, because it's all of a sudden you go from 0 to 9 months pregnant within a couple days, and it's pushing on your spine, it's pushing on your intestines, pushing on your stomach. I mean, I couldn't eat, everything was shutting down. And I was really miserable. I got drained twice there.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the first one was a botch, which was really awful.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, I had a huge hematoma on my side. It was pretty bad. But the surgeon that they had was gone, and so I had some doctors who didn't really know what they were doing. Anyway, fast forward. My husband takes me home, and I'm in a really weak state by then. Like, even one night, my husband's like, "Let's go get tacos," and we went across the street, and he ordered himself a cerveza and some tacos, and I just sat there, and he's like, "Do you want to go?" I was like, I can't even sit here. Like, I was really feeling miserable. And we ended up, after coming home, I feel like I probably should have come home earlier, because now looking at it, I was like, I wasn't even doing my therapies at the very end, because I was so sick. Yeah, I felt miserable. And even this is what was a changer for me, is that my doctor there in Tijuana, Mexico, was like, they look at your, they do all the scans when you first get there, and then they do it again when you leave. And I did show shrinking in some of the tumors, and blood flow was decreasing and such. However, my tumor markers were
Mike
still...
Mike is watching.
Hi.
Hi, Mike.
We're still...
Nothing but cakes.
Yes, delicious. The one in November when they have the pumpkin pie or pumpkin spice.
Oh, I missed that one.
Dangerous. Oh, man. They should carry it all year round. It's the best. So, where was I?
You were talking about your markers.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, he was like, you need to be open-minded about the potential of receiving chemotherapy. And, he goes, it's going to help stop the growth, and because he could tell it was getting really bad. And, of course, I still wanted to hear good news, and, I just wasn't hearing good news, and came home and still was not into any other conventional medicine. And I was getting drained. So my parents were there. So my husband was with me. My parents were at my house. Mm-hmm. They actually ended up staying last year, probably a total of 2 months or longer with me.
Wow.
Because they've just been helping hold down the fort. So back up, I was getting drained. They were actually every 3 days draining 4.5 liters of fluid out of my abdomen.
Dang, that's holy crap.
Yeah, and that's
like 2 liter bottles of soda, and then some.
Yeah, and for my frame, Yeah, it was like super pregnant looking. And I actually, even someone had told me, like, congratulations. I was being wheelchaired into the hospital. I was like, I wish this was a baby, you know, but that wasn't the case. Yeah, and it was really painful. So they had to like do a local anesthetic, and then they had to puncture the abdomen. And they did this a total of 13 times before it stopped.
Man.
And every, 3 days, and it was like, you're like, man, can I make it those 3 days? Because you're just filling up. As soon as you got drained, even that few hours afterwards, it would just fill back up.
They couldn't leave anything in there. They had to pull out the...
They will, but then you have, potential...
bacteria exposure.
Yeah, and you can get infection more easy. So we talked about it, and I'm glad I didn't do that because it ended up stopping, thank God. But I was progressively getting worse to the point where I wasn't eating. I was super malnourished, like skin and bones. I was really weak. My body functions stopped. Like I couldn't even pee because my body functions were just stopping. I was dying. And I went into this one hospital, and they actually told me, 31 years old, I'm 32 now, but they told me at 31 years old, mama 3, never received any kind of conventional medicine. They had me in the ICU, and a team of doctors was like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing more that we can do for you. We can send you up with hospice care, oxygen, oxycodone, morphine, antidepressants, and then anti-nausea medicine. Like, they just were going to send me home with that to go home and die more peacefully. And I remember I was, like, doped up on pain pills because I was in pain that time. They had me on stuff, and I just remember being like, nope. And I was like, I reject that. I reject what you're speaking over me. And my husband, there were so many acts of God. Like, I mean, that's where I said I could, like, write a book on, like, all the acts of God. My husband, he actually had gotten the number right as soon as we got back from Mexico. He was on the phone with a customer because he works from home, and he was telling, this customer how Idaho was. He goes, but this is a situation with my wife. And the customer just doesn't even personally know me. He's talked to my husband a few times, got super emotional. He's like, I lost my parent at 27, and he goes, I don't want to see your wife die. And he goes, how close are you to Boise? And we're like 25 minutes.
Wow.
And he goes, my best friend, who was in my wedding 35 years ago, is head of oncology, surgical oncology, at St. Luke's, which was a different hospital.
You're like, babe, we're getting in the car right now.
Well, he goes, just in case, he goes, I'm going to give you his number. So we got his personal cell phone number. This was before I was giving the suggestion of hospice. So when that doctor said hospice care, my husband said, nope, we're going to call Dr. Perez and get a second opinion. And she's like, oh, I'll call his office. He goes, no, it's okay. I have his personal cell phone number.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah. And
middle finger to you.
Yeah. And so we ended up calling this Dr. Perez. And he's like, come in on Tuesday. I was so sick that my husband, and this was Labor Day, so 6 months ago, my husband looks at me, he goes, babe, he goes, do you think you're dying? And I go, I don't know, maybe. And I mean, at that point, he was like brushing my hair. I mean, I couldn't do anything for myself. I've gone from Miss Independent, doing everything for my family, being a businesswoman, doing all these things, to literally being so humbled by receiving finances to even get the treatment, and then receiving physical help because I couldn't do anything for myself or for anybody else. And so when he asked me that, he goes, we're going to the hospital right now. And we went to the hospital, and this doctor we were given, this oncologist, the doctor, the number we got for Dr. Perez, he's like, if I ever got a diagnosis, this would be my doctor. He is a genius, and I would trust him with my own life. And he actually snagged him out of the hallway and said, there's a girl on room 4, but the 4th floor. He goes, and the doctors at this other hospital have given up on her. Will you take her? And he wasn't taking new patients at the time.
Oh, wow.
I asked him, and so it was a miracle. And he looked at me, and he goes, I don't know if it's too late or if you're going to respond to treatment, but we're going to give it a try. And at that point, I was terrified of chemo. I was already freaking so sick. I mean, I was so sick. I was really, really jaundiced. I mean, I was brown.
Yeah,
I wasn't even yellow.
Yeah, I was looking at the pictures because you've even recently posted the before and afters.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was emotional.
Yeah, totally. when I recall all the details and the layers of it, I mean, it's just, I could cry all over again.
We're doing pretty good, I have to say.
Yeah, we're not crying yet. But just wait, I have something I want to say, and I probably will cry. Okay. Anyway, I just had this moment where I envisioned myself with my arms stretched out, and I was backed up to this ledge, going, like, I didn't know where it was going to go, and I just had this envision of me just falling back into surrender, and just, in that moment, I had to trust God, because I didn't have any other options. My options were out, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I thought I was going to die from the chemo, because I was already so ill that, injecting me with poisons, I was like, I'm for sure gone. And I think in that moment of surrender, and all the prayers, by the way, I wasn't just supported financially by the community, I was prayed for all over the world, even in India.
Wow.
Yeah, I was prayed for. And strangers and people I knew and loved were praying for me. And I think there's something happened in the spiritual realm where just my body received the medicine, and
he gave you the cocktail. What?
Yeah, so I was on carboplatin. That's why I still have my hair, because you don't lose, and I didn't know this before, you don't lose your hair with every chemotherapy. So I was on carboplatin, and they had me on that, not on other things that would make me lose my hair, because it was more gentle on my liver, since my liver was already so damaged. Okay. And then they had me on targeted treatment, which is not chemotherapy, but it targets cancer cells.
So what is it, like radiation, or is it?
Nope, it goes in through my port, which is right here. It's like a little plastic knob, and it goes through my vena cava, and they access my port, and
you still have it in there?
Yep, because I'm going to get treatment every 3 weeks for a year, so until September. I got 3 treatments of the carboplatin, and my body honestly couldn't recover like platelets from that. That's the thing with chemotherapy. It wiped out. It hurt my immune system, and it wiped out my platelets. But this is the thing. My body had an incredible response to treatment. So much so that Dr. Perez, he goes, what's happened in your body is beyond what medicine is capable of. And he had tears in his eyes, and he pointed up. Yeah, and I had a good doctor who was very gentle with my body, not giving me something that would cause more damage to my liver. And if we needed to take a week off, we would take a week off. Yeah, very, very fortunate. But this is where I feel like I could cry.
I knew that was coming. Get my tissue ready.
Yeah, I was praying for myself the whole time. I mean, I was crying out to God, and I was like, God, do not take me. And the one thing that kept me, I was like, I do not want to leave my babies. Yeah. I don't want anyone else to raise my babies. Just the thought of that was too much, and I just told God, I'm like, do not take me. And I would just plead over, and like, that's another thing through the period of getting diagnosed. People are like, how do you stay so faithful, or how do you face this? And it's like, it's a roller coaster. Yeah. You constantly feel like days where you feel like, I've got this is good, to where it's totally out of your control, and all you can do is turn to God, and all you can do is say, you've been in all the details, you've brought me this far, and don't stop here. God, keep doing the miracles. And I don't think he's a God of partial miracles. He's a God that sees you through, and he's good. And I've been taught a lot of lessons through this. I've been increased in my faith walk, but I've also been taught a lot of humility. Yeah. I used to look at chemotherapy differently, and now it's like, I'm humbled. I'm humbled by,
grateful for it.
Yeah, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I had that medicine available to me, because I'm alive, because of God, and because of that medicine that he provided,
Yeah, when again, because I followed the whole process from a distance, to see your color come back, and
my life come back.
Yeah, and your face started getting fuller.
Yeah.
Because you were able to eat, and it was just like, oh.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, you need to come on my show.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm in Idaho. I'm like, what?
Yeah. It was kind of a crazy, that thing too, like after I got the chemotherapy and the targeted treatment, they actually released me to go home a couple days after. By the way, I had 28 total family members come to see me.
Wow.
My brother and his family drove through the night. Like, people thought I was done. Like, I was it was the end for me. Not everybody, but you know,
Yeah.
some people thought that it was the end for me. And so when I went home, I mean, I was in a hospital bed in my house, and really sleepy, like didn't have an appetite. I mean, I had people taking care of me. I mean, I couldn't even walk myself to the bathroom.
Oh wow.
I had to take a bath. I was so skin and bones at that point that I had to take hand towels and lay them down in the bath, because otherwise it would be bone on the bathtub.
Wow.
And it was it was very uncomfortable, and I had to have people sit there and watch me as I bathed, like my mom, my sister and stuff, but and my husband, but like, so that I was like such in a bad shape, but I was determined to live. Like, I remember like crying myself outside just to be in the sun. I just felt like that was like healing me. I
mean, it's change of scenery. It's
yeah.
Like, I mean, laying in a bed is like doom and gloom, and you're just like, it adds to the depression. But
yeah, I was like just determined. I'm like, I'm gonna live. And I had my friends and my family take me in a wheelchair and like take me out. Like I talked to my
let me bake in the sun for a little
literally
bit.
like a week post discharge. I had like people taking me to Costco, and I was like riding those little carts that I've never ridden before, but hey, it came in handy. And my mom-in-law, I told her, and she's like, "What? Where are you? Like that's amazing. Like that you're even."
Yeah, I think your mom even reached out to me and said thank you.
That's cool.
So that was pretty special.
Yeah, that was very awesome. So where I'm at now, I had the 3 treatments of chemotherapy, and by the way, I have been supporting myself naturally through this whole, getting conventional medicine too. So not just eating whatever, though I've struggled with food.
You missed the steak?
Not steak. It's like sweets. Sweets and carbs are like very hard to stay away from.
Mm-hmm. Some bundt cake.
Oh.
Mike, we're coming to see you.
No,
just kidding.
No. That is good. So where I'm at now is I had the 3 rounds of treatments, and I kind of jumped ahead because I said what Dr. Perez said, but my scans in early December said no cancer detected in my breasts, in my liver, and in my abdomen, which it was like just all over my body. I still had areas in my pelvis and in my spine that were healing. And again, I got the scan done just 2 weeks ago, and same thing, totally gone from this area, and no sign of new growth, nothing.
So you're still healing.
I'm still healing, but I literally feel like there's nothing I can't do. Like, I feel healthy, I feel well, which is incredible. The days of my treatment, I might have a headache, but just for the day.
But you also, I see you have all these amazing juices that you drink.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think of it. If your body is fighting the biggest battle of its life,
you got to feed it.
Yeah, and the less stress you can put on your body having to work to digest your food, if it's going to be working. It's like pure nutrients going into every single cell of the body. So I start my day off with celery juice, but I add to it, because celery juice by itself, if you've tried it, is not very good. So I add...
Tastes like dirt.
It's pretty bad.
I did a bodybuilding competition. That was one of my things I could eat like as much as I wanted.
So you
celery.
ate it?
I'm like, but after a while,
it's really fibrous if you're just eating it too.
Yeah, but I kind of started enjoying the taste. It was weird. Like, I like it's kind of sweet.
Yeah, your taste buds do change. Mm-hmm. So I always say organic when possible, because the pesticides are really not good for you, especially with celery. It's on the dirty dozen.
Okay.
So keep that in mind when you're buying celery and strawberries and stuff. So I do 1 entire stalk of celery. I do 2 apples, 1 lemon with the rind, and then about 1 inch of ginger. And then I like sprinkle some pumpkin spice in there, and it tastes like apple pie. It is so good. I actually crave it. And so I drink like a big 32-ounce jar of that, and that is my breakfast every morning. I know people are like...
post that recipe for everybody.
Yeah.
Looks good.
I know. I've shared it before. Actually, I share a lot of my recipes on my Instagram. I have an Instagram dedicated to my journey.
Okay.
And it's CMB Healing
Crunchy
Journey.
Mama Bear.
Yeah, but no, it's just CMB CMB Healing Journey.
Well, let's talk about Crunchy Mama Bear a little bit too when you get a minute.
Okay. Well, I wasn't gonna go there because I was like, I don't want to promote myself at all. I wanted to help it. Yeah,
but your products also help support you, but they're natural and organic, so it's like, why not?
Yeah. So over 3 years ago, I started my business called Crunchy Mama Bear, and I was formulating products out of my house that were meeting needs of things that we use every single day. You know, I started actually with bug spray, funny enough, and I just didn't want to spray my children with chemicals.
DEET.
Yeah, DEET's actually been found in waterways, and it's killed fish and wildlife. And how the heck can I
put that on your kids?
Yeah, and so I was like, there's got to be a better solution. So I started making this like recipe, and I had family members and friends asking to buy it, and my husband's like, do something with this. This was actually 6 years ago that I started making it, and it works. It works. That's why I started my company, and
nice.
So
because mosquitoes love me.
I freaking hate mosquitoes. I like swell up to it.
Me too. Like I look like I have some weird disease by the end of the night. I'm like, and fleas too. Man. Like,
you have the tasty blood.
Yes,
that's why.
I'm delicious.
Oh my gosh.
And so, you did bug spray, and then you have like.
I have sun butter. I have deodorant, and I actually made a deodorant for breast cancer specifically. It has frankincense and myrrh in it that is naturally anti-tumor, anti-cancer. But a lot of the deodorants we're wearing are not only masking the odor with synthetic fragrances, but it's also keeping toxins in. When you have antiperspirant, you're literally clogging your body's natural way to eliminate toxins. So you think about, you started wearing deodorant maybe 13 years old, you know, like most of your life, we've been doing that, and we have so many our lymph nodes right here in this area and in our breast tissue, and that those toxins are actually being stored. So I have like a way for people to detox that and to put something on that does its job as deodorant but doesn't hurt you. And that's my point of my company is to
remember
bring
like
things
reading about you and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check out that deodorant.
Yeah, I have a lot of men actually who use it, like landscapers and bodybuilders. No joke. You have people in like Florida and Texas where it's humid and gross. So,
I bet, yeah. You walk outside, you just like start dripping sweat.
You should like never dry out from a shower. It's like that humid.
That's terrible. I hate that.
But anyway, yeah, so I'm that much more passionate about my company, and it's a blessing because that's another thing is that I've been well enough that I've been able to sustain my business online through this whole thing. I did have my stepdaughter who helped me kind of keep it going, which thank God I had her because she is awesome. She was able, and I have a studio in my house now that I moved to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I get to help more people through that too. So
what's the next chapter of your life look like?
Continue to working on healing. I think the never-ending goal of finding balance in our lives, right?
Yeah, you have 3 kids. I only have 2. I couldn't imagine.
3 little boys, 7 and 4, and not even 2. And they are in everything, and they fight, and I love them. But doing that, finding balance, growing in my faith walk, finding more time for like my friends. Like I was telling a friend here, I was like, I used to have her over for coffee. I was like, I don't really do that anymore. I was like, because I'm just so busy. And I think just, you know, at the end of end of our life, you know, are we going to wish that we are so busy that we never took time to do the things that we wanted, like more time with our kids?
Absolutely.
Or, you know, we will regret working so much. So I think, but work is good. It's just finding that balance, you know?
Put your kids to work.
Yeah. Man, it's like difficult when you have like little ones. It's like pulling teeth to get them to do things right.
Here, put the spoon in the pot and stir it.
Oh, not with
and not with the young one.
No, not with what do you call it? Not with product making.
Oh.
That would be disastrous. But like sweeping and stuff like that, you know, it's kind of like pulling teeth. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for stopping by and sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that anyone who's listening, you know, I know I've lost friends along the way, and it breaks my heart, absolutely, especially when it's a parent that, you know, is taken away from their kids. It makes me mad. It makes me sad. I guess I want to tell people to keep fighting, and keep holding on to hope and courage, that only God has the last say. No doctor, no man can tell you when your last day is. And it's been an honor to be here, so thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have been wondering what happened to you. So
Yeah, I'm alive and well, and this is really cool too. I want to end by, I don't really publicize it a lot, but every single day I get to be used, and it's amazing. People reach out to me through social media or my posts, and also just people I run into. Yesterday I ran into someone who I waited on for years, her and her husband.
oh wow,
And it was so crazy. I went to Trader Joe's and I had forgot the salsa, and I was like, oh, I gotta grab it real quick. I mean, it was like an in and out trip.
mm-hmm.
And I went to grab the salsa, and I was like, Debbie! And I saw her, and I was like, we hugged, and she told me about her husband has stage 4 kidney cancer. And I was able to sit there and just love her and hug her and empathize, obviously, through what she's going through.
Right.
And offer myself to her, if you ever need anybody. But I also got to sit there and pray with her. I just feel like cancer is can be such a hopeless disease, because all people see is someone getting diagnosed and dying.
Yeah, that's all we see. I mean, that's all we've known. There's those few people who've made it across that line, but hopefully with
Yeah.
what you have to share and kind of bring some
Yeah.
hope to some people.
Right. And I think, I'm no different. I mean, I think the reason I've been saved from premature death is just the grace of God. And I think that the only thing that, it's like, yes, I can do things, quote unquote perfectly, and it's still not enough.
Mm-hmm.
As I just had to trust God in all of this, and I had to have people praying for me, because this was something beyond. It was so much bigger than, I understand. And I feel honored, honestly, to still be here and to be able to love my children.
Absolutely. Ooh, sheesh.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing. Like, I get to love my husband, I get to love my children still, and thank God. But I also get to love people and be used. And so I think not just sitting there and feeling self-pity, not that that's a bad thing, because I can understand how someone would fall into that, but to look for opportunity to change and grow and learn from whatever it is you've been through. So,
Agreed.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I don't really know how to close this show. It's pretty amazing. So thank you for everybody for tuning in. I'll see you next week. We're gonna have a change of venue, so it's gonna look different, a lot better. And so, have a great day, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.